Hello. How are we doing, Star Fam? I must say, when I was watching this, I said to myself, why in the hell did they recommend? Why did they want me to watch this nonsense? My God, today. Y'all know I love a good true crime story. This was actually traumatizing. This was actually traumatizing, but when we found out who the stalker was, I got to be honest with you, I wasn't shocked, right? I was disappointed, but I wasn't shocked. I was just like, damn, that sucks. But I was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. Before I get into my overall thoughts, let's get into a breakdown of this whole thing for those of you who do not know what this is about. So the Star family, I saw everybody, like my sister and her friends were like talking about this. And, you know, the Netflix documentaries, I tend to stay away from the Netflix documentaries because they are too similar to HBO's documentaries. And HBO's documentaries were very depressing, very listen, HBO documentaries, they would make you think. They would make you think. But my God, today, it was like a trauma dump, right? So I was just like, Netflix, I'm going to stay away from you. I like a nice little messy documentary, but a documentary that I'm just like, I'm forever gutted by it. Keep that away from me. I think the last documentary that I watched at HBO was about this trans woman who fell in love with a trans man who fell in love with a trans woman, and because of where because of where he lived, he could not get his reproductive system removed and ended up getting cervical cancer and dying because of it. And that documentary forever changed me. It was years ago. I forget what the name of it or what it was called, but it just because to tell somebody what they cannot do with their body. And one of the things that he said was that his doctors were telling him that they don't want to remove his reproductive system because at some point he may change his mind. And he never changed his mind, and he ended up dying of cervical cancer. So it's just that one messed me up. It did expand my mind. Shout out to HBO. It expanded my mind because I never saw a coupling like that, and to see two people in love and just to see somebody embrace their partner as they transition out of this world was very difficult, but it really opened up my mind. And I just broadened my horizons about how love looks and how relationships look and how I need to mind my business and stay out of other people's business, especially with my vote. So it opened my mind, but it forever changed me. So I'm just not a documentary girl. I be getting I don't know, when it's real life stuff, it sticks with me. So I was just like, I don't do the documentaries. But you guys, everybody was talking about it, and then you guys were like, Nikki, we have to watch it together. We have to talk about it. So I was like, let me just watch it. And I watched this nonsense, and I was just like, Listen, if you're a millennial, this isn't shocking. We grew up on Lifetime. All of the Lifetime movies were like this, but it's so sad and disappointing. Um, because you're looking at the end, we get to see the effects of what this one person did to this entire town. And it's just so heartbreaking that one person's influence could create so much chaos and just so much heartbreak. Let's get into it. So let's first talk about these cast of characters. The first person, this is the lead, basically, of this documentary. Her name is Lauren Licari. She's of the Licari family. She is a young lady who is being stalked, a cyber bullied, if you will, by some unknown number who is texting her and anybody closely associated with her. And they're texting her the most vile things. So it starts off with this young lady and she's receiving these vile messages, and then her parents start to get involved because their child is being harassed by this unknown number. Her mother intervenes. She doesn't know like how to help her child because this is deeply affecting her child. And then her husband, he joins in as well because he doesn't know, like, why would somebody do this? At first they think it's a younger person, but then the way the person starts texting and making them think that it's somebody older, but they just don't know because they do not know who nobody can recognize the unknown number. This harasser or whatever is harassing this young lady for a very long time. It doesn't really get any legs until this harasser starts harassing Lauren's boyfriend at the time, 13. I don't have any children, right? I will say this. My mama ain't played that. My mama ain't paid 13-year-old having no boy. The baby should not be dating. But anyway, she starts dating this young man, Owen, and this is when it develops and becomes a case and starts getting legs because the harasser now starts to harass Owen. So Owen is being harassed by this, and it is heavily altering his mental state. And Owen's mother gets involved because she's just like, what is happening to my child? Like, what is going on? And because this is getting so tense, this harasser is just saying the most vile and nasty and hateful things to this young man. She decides to go to the authorities and she's just like, listen, I need help here. I don't know what's happening. This is really, affecting my child. It got so bad. And I will say this lady had my heart. I felt so bad for her because this is an image of her of when a police footage of her of when she was at the police department and she was talking to an officer and she was just like, I don't know what to do. She was like distraught, like my son, this person is saying these awful things to my child and I don't know how to help. I don't know how to stop it. She was clearly at her wit's end, just overwhelmed, looked a hot mess. So that she was going through it. And the poor lady, I think she was just doing the best she can with her child. But when your child is hurting and you're just so desperate and you don't really know what to do, you're not thinking clearly, or clearly she was in a terrible state. So she didn't make the best decisions, and we will get into it. But that's when the case that's when it becomes a case. And that's when the authorities get involved. When this woman is just like, listen, my son, I'm scared. I'm absolutely scared. It's getting really, really bad. So the police get involved and you think that it would stop. It didn't. The harasser is not just harassing Lauren, telling this baby to kill herself, telling her to kill herself, telling her she's ugly, sending her messages about her body, how awful her body is, how awful she looks, how Owen doesn't want her. And then this person is saying that they're going to start having sex with Owen and that they have a much better body and Owen likes them more than they like her. And then they're harassing Owen and saying that, Lauren isn't good for him and Owen needs to be with somebody else. And then it gets very sexually explicit with Owen. And then they move on to Chloe. I will say this. Chloe is an innocent victim in this. But Chloe got a lot of spotlight put on her because the waters was murky. Everybody didn't want to talk about it, but Chloe, you was a bully mama. That's why you was getting a name. And Chloe a little she a little stocky, so I could, she had the bully build, and because she had the bully build and she was aggressive with the younger kids, it was assumed that she was actually the one harassing Owen and Lauren. And then it went on to another person who everybody suspected was Adriana, and we will get into that. Here's what I want to say about Chloe. She had the bully build, she had the bully resume, right? But one thing she had that I respected watching this entire documentary, this young lady had parents who don't play about her. She had parents who don't play about her. When all them parents started pointing the finger at Chloe, her parents said, absolutely not. I don't know who you're talking about. Not my child. They stood 10 toes down for that young lady and did not play. They said, absolutely not. Find somebody else because it's not my child. I will give them that. They did not play about their baby, and they still don't play. They still got beef with everybody in that town because, of course, Chloe, as we all have watched it, of course, Chloe was not the one. But I also got to give it to them. I also got to put a little bit of this on the parents. Two things. One, you got to admit your baby was a bully. Everybody in the town saying your baby a bully, but y'all, I love that y'all protect your child and y'all stood 10 toes down for her. But you also got to realize there's something going on in the home to make the whole town and everybody talk about how she wasn't a good person to them. And there's a little bit of bully residue in the parents. They stood 10 toes down for their baby. They was not playing, but it was a little residue right there. So that's why she became an easy target. And then these parents, they put it on another young lady, Adriana. And the show didn't focus that much on her because there wasn't much of a case, so they were able to move on from her. But I want to say this about Adriana and the effects of perception and class in this town. So because it's very apparent that everybody in this town is working class, but they have a mindset that they are middle to upper class. But it's very apparent that maybe not Owen, but it's very apparent that everybody else is working class. And what has happened here is you have working class people who are not quite sure of who are, I won't say they're not sure. I would say that they're delusional about how the world perceives them and where they rank in society. Because everybody is pointing fingers at people who they think are beneath them. Because Chloe's parents then points to Adriana. And it's very apparent that Adriana is quite possibly the poorest person in all of this. So it was very easy for accusations to be thrown at her. And it was very easy for others to believe that she would be the one who would be harassing Owen and Lauren and now Chloe because of prior history that Adriana had with Chloe, but also because of how Adriana looked and possibly where Adriana's class, where everybody else is working class, she probably was poor. So it was very easy for everybody to throw that label on her. And she said something very, very interesting in this, in her interview, in her confessional. She said, because of the way she was treated, instantly it was believed that she was the person who was harassing everybody. Because at this point, this person has become the town harasser. At this point, they're taking pictures of minors, sharing it around town, saying the most violent, nasty things to just about damn near everybody, right? And everybody is assuming that it's this young lady because she has become, because she, before any of this happened, was a pariah in this town. So it was like very easy to throw that on her. But she said something very interesting. She said because it was instantly believed that she was the perpetrator. No evidence, no nothing. Everybody believed it because some people probably had more status and more credibility than her said that it was her, and everybody believed it. And the way she was treated and harassed, especially by the police. And she said it changed my perception of the police because of the treatment that I received. And while breaking down crying, she said, now if I'm like in my car and I see, the police, she said, I get very scared. I get very, very scared and frightened because of what has happened to her. And what has happened to her is that she was wrongfully accused, harassed by the police, treated like a pariah in her own town, to the point where the treatment that she had received had traumatized her. And that trauma now has fundamentally changed her. So she no longer is the person she was before this incident. And I was listening to her speak and I said, yeah, I totally understand. I totally get where you're coming from, young lady. Very understandable. Very understandable. But what happens in this documentary is something that we have talked about on my page for a very long time. That's why I'm always an advocate for women to live their lives. Live their lives, experience, have fun, make mistakes, but live your life. That is the time, especially when you are younger, that is the time for you to be selfish, because many women are conditioned to become wives and mothers very early. And a lot of them are sold this fairy tale. And the fairy tale is just for the wedding, it is not for the rest of your life. Because a lot of women do not realize that marriage and motherhood is a death of the person you were before you became somebody's rib and somebody's mama. A lot of women don't realize that, because a lot of them are looking at this fairy tale through the lens of the man, because you're seeing that he still can pursue his dreams. You're seeing that he still pretty much gets a very cush life and a lot of support, not realizing that you should be looking at the woman. You should be looking at your mother. You should be looking at your grandmother. You should be looking at the women in your family. You should be looking at the women in your community, because that is pretty much going to be the same path that you are going to walk. Because what happens is, when you give up so much of your life, all of your life, so young, you start to resent the man that you gave it up for and the children that you bore him. And I think that's what's happening here. I think that is the core of this document. That is this documentary. That is a core issue here, because what we have is a very young lady, Miss Lauren, who out of the blue, as soon as she starts to come into herself, and they're showing her as being somebody becoming increasingly popular, and then she starts to date, and as soon as she starts to date, she starts to get harassed. And it starts off as a couple of text messages, and then it just becomes increasingly worrisome, because it's multiple text messages a day, and it goes from just a snide comment to telling this young lady to kill herself, to writing sexually explicit things about what this person is going to do to her boyfriend Owen, or what Owen is going to do to her, and how she was going to sexually fulfill him, and that he was going to leave her because she wasn't sexually fulfilling him. Like, she knew very intimate parts of their relationship. And keep in mind, at this point, she's about 13 or 14 years old. And there's even a section in this documentary where we speak to her aunt. And her aunt is like, this person is telling her, that Owen is going to leave her because she's not giving him a blowjob. And she's just like, she's freaking 14 years old. She shouldn't even be doing that. So why would this person even think that, or try to encourage that if they're a child? So like, everybody is starting to clock in that something, like the language and the way this person is speaking, does not sound like a young person. And the harassment is getting so bad, it affects her relationship with Owen. His mom steps in and says, this has got to end. And I'm with the mom, you know what I mean? And it just becomes too much, and this relationship is not able to last, but it also starts to affect this young lady's mental health because, like I said, on top of being harassed daily, her insecurities, this person is speaking her insecurities back to her and then telling her to kill herself. It is taking a toll on her. Her parents are at their wits' end. They don't know how to help because nobody knows who this is. And then this young man as well, we talked about his mom and how she was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stop it. Please help. And because this is getting so big, because at first it was just this harasser was just harassing one person. Then it gets to a point where they are harassing damn near half the town. Like everybody is just getting vile messages, but the majority of these vile messages are being shared with very young people, or young people in this town are being targeted. And then when this person starts taking pictures of these young people in very intimate situations, specifically with where's Miss Chloe, specifically with Chloe. Now, before, when the finger was being pointed at her, everybody was just like, oh, it has to be Chloe because Chloe's the town bully. Then this harasser starts sending pictures of Chloe at like really like intimate, like family events. And so people are just like, how the hell did they get that picture? Like this person had to be in the same room. So because the harassment is getting very intense, very scary, and because it's targeting minors, now this case is no longer a small case. So it gets a lot bigger to the point where the FBI is getting involved because now this person has committed a felony. So the FBI gets involved and it lands in the hands of the sheriff. And he's doing all his cross references and he's sitting down with Jill, Owen's mom, and he's asked because Jill has been the one who has been like, she has been the one who has spearheaded this investigation because this mother was concerned for her kid. And she was just like, I'm not going to lose my child. So I'm going to need some help. And if anything happens to my baby, it's blood on this county's hands. So let's get to work. So she is giving like all of the contacts in her son's phone to the sheriff so that they can cross-reference and see, if any of the numbers are familiar from what this harasser is using. And so she gives up her son's phone. They go through all the contacts. They can't find anything. And the sheriff gets back to her just like, we can't find nothing. And she's just like, well, it got to be somebody. They're not even thinking that it could be like one of the close adults in their community. But she just says, well, you know what? I'm going to give you my contact list. She gives him her contact list. He searches through all those numbers and the contact, and they get a ping on who this number could be associated with. And, they have all this kind of technology to search IPs and all of those things. So they get a ping on who this number could be attached to. And so they start to just research this one number and all of the messages that have been sent out to multiple people and children in the town. And it comes back to Lauren's mother, Kendra. Lifetime movie. And poor Jill, Owen's mama, when she finds out, Jill's like, oh no, it's not her. She's like, ain't no way it's her. She's the mother of Lauren, who was the first person that was being harassed, and we've been working together. There's no way. It cannot be her. And the sheriff is just like, it has to be, because this is the only number and it is attached to her. So then the cops go over to Kendra's home. And they say, hey, Kendra, we got to talk to you. And we got a warrant to search the house. And she's like, huh? Gagged. And he's like, we got a warrant to search the house. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, let's go in and sit down. Where's Lauren? She's like, Lauren is in her room. And he was like, you know what? Let Lauren stay in her room because I have to talk to you. So the cop talks to her and everything is through his footage. He says, listen, we know it's you. Like, we know that you are the one who has been sending the messages. And I want to say this. This is why you always have to invoke a lawyer, because she denied it for like 2 seconds. She was like, oh no, it wasn't me. I would never, my daughter. And then she was just like, oh, it's been a really stressful year. I was like, oh, you're giving up that easy? She was like, it's been hard, and I didn't mean for it to get out of hand like this. And then we get a confessional with her, and she's just like, I was just, relieved that it was finally over. Ma'am, it didn't need to start. It didn't need to start. So we are cutting back and forth between everybody now that it's revealed that it's Kendra. I want to say the most heartbreaking thing not the most, but it was very just heartbreaking, this scene. Watching Kendra's husband, Lauren's dad, realize that his wife is the town stalker. Like in real time, you could just see his mind like just rapidly going through everything, because the cops are talking to Kendra, and she folds and she tells everything. And then they bring Lauren in. Lauren comes in to sit down with her mom. And I don't know if she already knew, but the baby was stoic. She was so stoic when the cops were just talking to her and basically letting Lauren know that your mom did something really, really bad and she's probably going to go away for a while. And as soon as Lauren entered into the room, her mom just grabbed her and just started like stroking her head and was like really aggressively bringing her into her, not out of concern, but I felt like she was latching onto her for safety. And Lauren was just stoic. She listened to everything. She was just stoic. It wasn't until the cops called her dad and was just like, you have to get here. He gets there to the home and they tell him everything. And he's like, what? He can't, like, at first he can't believe it. He was just like, no, she goes to work. No, she can't do this. She don't have the time. She got a job. And they're like, she is not employed. He's like, what? He's like, she has not had a job for a very long time. She's not employed. She's not going to work. She's driving somewhere or waiting for you to leave and staying in the house all day and is just harassing children. And he could not believe it. So he goes in to the house with his wife and Lauren, and he starts talking to his wife. He just said, tell me the truth. Did you get fired from your job, or did you get let go, or were you never working there in the first place? And she was just like, he's like, tell me the truth. And she's like, I never worked there. This is not funny, but I'm like, oh my God, lady, this is insane. And what hurt me was that his voice, he was just so like, what is happening with my life? He looks at her, he looks at his wife, and he says, you gotta go. Put her out immediately. He said, call your parents and tell them to come get you because you gotta go. Kendra runs over to Lauren and she starts holding on Lauren, and she's like, I don't want to leave her. I don't want to leave Lauren. And he was like, I don't care. You have to go. And then his voice starts breaking. He said, you haven't been working this whole time. You've been lying to me this whole time. Then Lauren starts crying and she wants to like go hug her dad. She can't hug her dad because her weird mom is like holding on to her for safety. I don't know if it's a narcissist, but this lady is something, because it is very apparent that she still does not care about her child. It is very apparent that she feels bad because she's caught, and she feels bad because nobody is giving her sympathy. And I think she thought it would be a totally different outcome. So anyway, she gets put out of the house, breaking news all over town. She goes to court for, I think, felony stalking and harassing, and she ends up getting the longest sentence for her crime, which is 19 months in prison. She goes away for 19 months. She cannot contact her child. Like, her dad now has like full custody of her, and she has to stay away from her daughter, but she says that she wants to. And Lauren has been communicating with her mom. Another heartbreaking thing about this is that she loves her mom and she wants a relationship with her. And she's like, I don't care. I know that people think that I'm crazy. I know, that people are just like, why would you even want to have a relationship with your mom? She said, that's my mom. I love her and I need to have her in my life. And then she said this, and my heart just sank. She said, I don't know why my mom told me to kill myself. I don't know why she even told me to do that. but I love my mom and I need my mom in my life. And it's heartbreaking because she's like 17 now. This young lady is not going to know or realize until she's about closer to 30, right? She's going to have to see her mom. She's going to have to continuously be hurt and harmed by her mom until she finally gets that this woman is not a safe space. Because when the interviewer asked her mom why why she told her daughter to like kill herself, and she was just like, I didn't think she was going to do it. I mean, I know my child, she wasn't going to do it. What? What? You know what I will say? The dad, 10 toes down for his baby. He don't play about her. He put that lady out immediately and he hasn't seen her since. And he will not allow her to have contact with their child. He don't play about that girl. He don't play. And it's another thing. He says that he will go to work, and this happens in a lot of households. He will go to work and give the wife the money to take care of the bills. He didn't know that they were in that bad of a situation, or that the situation was just like dire, or that they were even in a dire situation at all until he came home and there was a notice on the door that they were being evicted. And he talks to her and he looks at his wife. He said, we're being evicted. And she's like, oh, yeah, we haven't been paying the bills. So he was just like, if you have this job, I have this job. What's going on? There was obviously some kind of financial strain with them, because she said he wasn't quite in the dark about the bills. But ma'am, he didn't know that you weren't going to work every day. Even her own sister was just like, I don't think she ever had the job that she said that she had, because she's saying that she was let go from the job a lot sooner than she told everybody. But her older sister is just like, she never had that job. I would not be surprised. And the sister was kind of stoic, like not shocked by her sister's actions, because she was just like, my sister, she's like, I love her, but she's a very jealous person. Like, she does not like not having attention. She was just like, if she was in this room right now with me and you guys were talking to me while I'm doing this interview, she would start dancing so that she could get the focus put back on her. She does not like not being the center of attention. So it's sad to say, but the sister was not surprised. None of this shocked her. I'm like, were you waiting for your sister to do something this awful? And girl, she was also committing insurance fraud. They just need to do a documentary on her. She was committing insurance fraud. That's how she was bringing in money and saying that it was her salary. She was committing insurance fraud. She was saying that there were multiple issues with their home. So she would make claims to the insurance and they would pay that out. And she would make it seem like that was her salary. So she's been living a lie. Her sister was like, I wouldn't be surprised if she's been living a lie for the last decade. Yikes. She was like, I wouldn't be surprised if none of what she has told anybody is ever really true. That's just who she is. And she wants to, she's out of prison, fresh out of prison. And she does want to connect with her child. But right now, because her child is still a minor, she cannot see her. So she probably will not be able to see her daughter until she's 18. And Lord knows how that's going to go. Lord knows how that's going to go. But here's the thing that I think what happened with Miss Kendra. Miss Kendra, her daughter's 17 now. Kendra's 42. So I think right as or right before Kendra's brain became fully developed, she became a mom. With the outcome that we have seen, I'm not sure that Kendra wanted that, right? Or she did believe that she wanted that, and as she got older, she realized that is not what she wanted. Because in this interview, the interviewer asked her, why were you knew that your daughter was insecure about her body and her looks. Why would you repeat those things back to her? And she was like, well, because she kept on talking about how her daughter didn't have a shape and, how she looked anorexic. And she was like, well, I wasn't eating at the time, so I was really skinny. So maybe that was just me projecting that on to her. And that's not what it is. What is happening is, like I said before, she cut her life short. She cut her life very short. And she was fine with her daughter until her daughter started to grow up. And as her daughter started to grow up, and as her daughter started to get attention, and as her daughter started to become a little popular, right? And I feel like as her daughter started to become somebody she never could be or desired to be, I think that's when jealousy set in. I think she was just jealous of her child. She was jealous of her child and she wanted to take the wind out of her sails. Keep in mind, she was unemployed. She had too much time on her hands. An idle mind is the devil's playground. And I think she sent that first text to her daughter just out of anger, maybe because they had an argument or whatever. She sent that first text and watched that little girl's reaction and the jealousy and envy, the envy in her was like a boost. It was like a serotonin boost. And she couldn't stop because she saw how poorly it affected her. And then when her daughter started to have a relationship with Owen, who his mama and Owen said that they felt like she was sexually attracted to him. He was like, she would just, contact me outside of her daughter. Even after we broke up, she was still contacting me when I would go over her home. She would really cater to me, cut up my steaks. This is how that happens. This is how that happens. This is definitely a mom who, if the opportunity presented itself, would have slept with Owen, would have violated that young child. Absolutely, because this is a woman who gave up her youth to be somebody's mama and somebody's helpmeet, not assessing that she was not going to be able to live her life that she desired after that, because probably at the time she didn't even know the life that she wanted and she already made her bed, right? Not giving an excuse, but I think that's absolutely what's happening. She's seeing her daughter start to live the life that she either had or wanted, and it was cut short because of that. So instead of speaking to her partner and saying, listen, I'm feeling stuck. Listen, I need help. Listen, I'm feeling smothered. I'm getting resentful. I need help to make my load a little lighter, or I want to start cooking. I want to do this hobby. I want to start doing something for me because things are building up. Instead of doing that and talking to her partner, she allowed that resentment to build, and it became this nasty, devious envy towards her daughter because her daughter is starting to live the life that she either had or wants again because she gave it up for her. So she's now blaming her daughter. And this is the way of her punishing her, sending those text messages. She's blaming her daughter because had it not been for her daughter, she could have the life that she wanted. Instead of dealing with the fact that this was a decision that you made that you probably wasn't ready for, or you probably was brainwashed to believe, but instead of dealing with that, you blame the result of your union, which is your child. It happens all the time. It happens all the time, especially to daughters. Rarely does it happen to the son, if ever, but it happens all the time. She blames that young girl for taking the life that she believes that she would have had she not had her. And so as she sees her daughter becoming popular, she sees her daughter, getting attention and being in a relationship with a guy that she either wanted to be with or felt like I would have had a guy like that had I not been a mom. Just real crazy stuff. Real crazy stuff. Because even when she was in her interview, it was like you were talking to a kid. She was like, no, I didn't mean it. Let me get. It was like she was still very stunted. Hold up. It's giving Huda. It's giving Huda. Very childlike, very stunted. And it seems like they always get stunted at the age that they were when they became a mom. And it's so sad because I feel like she's going to appeal to her young daughter when she turns 18, when she can start to see her again. I feel like she's going to appeal to her as like a girlfriend or as like the cool mom. And because she's so young, she will not see how toxic this lady is until it's too late. And I think it might actually take for her mom to sleep with one of her boyfriends because she's going to do it. Lauren, is going to happen. It's absolutely going to happen. That envy did not go away. That envy did not go away, because now that she's caught, now that she's done time, now that she's lost her husband and her security, who do you think she blames for that? She's not going to blame herself. Absolutely not. You are going to be the fault of that. And you are not going to know how she feels until you guys have the argument about her sleeping with one of your current boyfriends when you are older. And it's all going to come out. You ruined my life. I could have done all of this, but I had to stop everything for you. I had to give up everything for you. All that stuff that she was saying is how she felt about her child. If Lauren would have taken her life, she would have been relieved. She felt those things. So she is trying to claim, oh, insanity. Oh, I was just really stressed out. Oh, well, I was assaulted when I was 17. So, she was getting older and I wanted to stop her from getting older because I wanted to protect her. None of that is true. It is just an excuse, because those things are a lot easier to say and a lot more accepting to say than to say, I am jealous of my 13-year-old daughter. Although it's very apparent, she meant all of that stuff. All that stuff she said to her daughter, she meant it. All that stuff she said to Owen, she meant it. And it's not, and she didn't like Owen because Owen is the attractive boy in the town. She only wanted Owen because Owen wanted her daughter. That's it. And she only wanted him so that she could hurt her with him. That's why she was telling her all the stuff that she was going to do to him, because if the opportunity presented itself, if Owen was ever receptive to the things that she was, doing to him, she would have done something. She absolutely would have done something to him. And it's unfortunate because this baby to this day is saying she wants a relationship with her mom. And the only thing that's stopping that and protecting her from being in relationship with that very toxic woman is her dad. And he can only protect her for so long, because when she becomes a legal adult, he cannot stop her. And I feel bad for him, because he is going to be there to pick up the pieces when his child realizes that he was right about her mom. Because that's her mom. She was just like, I don't feel right without her being in my life. She loves that lady. And that lady envies her. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate. The aftermath of this is that all of the kids are still traumatized. Owen, Chloe, and Lauren, all crying in their confessionals about how they are trying to piece themselves together after that. Jill, Owen's mom, and Chloe's parents still beefing, because Chloe's parents were just like, well, she gave our daughter's name to the authorities and wrapped us all up in it. She is responsible for that. And they're right? They're right. Everybody is affected. Everybody is torn apart because of one woman's jealousy towards her child. And the sad part is that this is so common. It's so common. And it's normally common in women who started very young, who became mothers very, very, very young, because you start to build resentment as you get older. And then you have a daughter and you start to see your daughter do better than you. Now, a normal parent would be like, that's the goal. Like, I want my kid to have a better life than me. That is what a parent should do, right? That would be a normal parent. But a parent like this, no, that's not the goal. That's not the goal. Because when you see your child excelling in areas that you wanted to excel in, and you feel like you can't do that now because your life is over, you're not rooting for them. You're rooting for them to fail, because you are jealous, because you are blaming them for the reasons why you don't have the life that you thought that you were going to have. Because that's the thing. Not saying that they didn't want to be moms, not saying that they didn't want to be wives. They thought it was going to be a fairy tale. because society, their church, their town, their family, that the man that they linked up with sold them a lie and they believed it. And instead of changing her life, she decided to destroy her child's life. And she didn't get better. Prison didn't do anything but make her worse. Prison made her a better liar, a better manipulator. And the person that's going to suffer the most out of all of this is this young lady. Her dad is in for the ride of his life. It is going to be so much work that he is going to have to put in to protect and repair his child after she reconnects with her mom. So sad, so unfortunate. That's all I want to say about this documentary. What do you guys have to say? Let's get into it. Nisha said, oh guys, we got a lot of comments here. I'm going to try to get to everyone. Please make sure you like the video. Nisha says, hey, beautiful. I'm so happy you're chatting about this. I saw it. If this was a man doing this, it would have been a longer sentence and filed under sexual predator because it was mine. Absolutely. Absolutely. The funniest thing, not funny, but sad. A very sad thing about this is that everybody was just like, oh, no, it can't be her. She's a mom. She's a coach. Okay. What the hell does that mean? Predators come in every skin. Predators come in every career. Predators come in every gender. What does that mean? And that is the thing. Because she didn't fit the description, they're looking at everybody else. And they're not looking at where the evidence points them. Because that picture of Chloe should have been a dead giveaway. They should have looked at everybody in that room. But because Lauren and mothers and fathers were in that room, nobody thought to take it seriously. The way she was talking to that boy, sick individual. Nisha said also it was about her boyfriend Owen because their mom kept texting him when he was seeing someone new. Did you happen to notice all the alcohol bottles on the table when the cops were there with the door? Yeah, listen, if Owen was receptive to that woman's advances, she would have done everything with him and made sure her daughter found out, because it was not about him. It was about harming her child, who she blames for ruining her life. Very sad. Very, very, very sad. Also, she's not smart, because the minute she started texting Owen's girlfriend, the new girl, you cross state lines. That's when the FBI gets involved, dodo head. Nisha said the husband should have asked more questions about the fiance, because why did they get evicted? Moved several times. I hope all the kids get therapy after this trauma. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. His ignorance. Like, there should not be one partner in your relationship that has all the financial responsibility. No, you both should know about the bills. Even if only one person is contributing, especially if you're giving your money, you need to know where that money is going. You need to get a receipt. You can't just be that foolish. And like I said, I do believe Kendra that he knew something was up. He knew something was up, because y'all didn't have all of those storages because you didn't have land to put your stuff on. Y'all had all those storages because y'all kept on being evicted out of places. So I won't necessarily put that all on Kendra. But I will put that lady not working and making false insurance claims to get some money. Yeah, that's on her. That's on her. It's a roller coaster, child. But if you watch any of them Lifetime movies in the late 90s, early 2000s, you wouldn't be surprised at the outcome. Eva Empathy said, hey, y'all, this was a crazy watch. I'm so excited to get Nikki's thoughts and everyone else's. I'm still gagged. A mess. It was a mess. Spencer said, hey, Nikki and Star fam, that lady should still be in jail. Here's the thing. She's a woman. She had no offenses before that. So, if she does again, if she does something like this again, she will. And here's the thing with this documentary, making the sister making those claims that she probably was scamming insurance, she'll probably be back in prison for embezzling because the insurance company is watching this. This show is very popular. The insurance company where she filed them claims, they are watching this. And if they do any research and find out that this lady was lying and scamming, back to prison she goes. Because she's also on probation. And Melina said, "Hey, Nikki, I'm so glad you're covering this. I was absolutely stunned watching it." Ciao. Jill was like, "No, it can't be her." Jill, you know what? Thinking about this, she probably got beef with Jill. She probably got beef with Jill. That lady was on it all day. Thousands of messages to just anybody in that town. Men, women, and children. Crazy work. Always prices that finishing the movie now. OMG. Yep. Yep. Mama Star can't make an appearance. She's actually working, but I'm going to tell her to watch it. I'm going to tell her to watch it. Mel Ron said, "Hey, Star fam, this was a mess. Kendra is a terrible person." Yep. And she will continue to be a terrible person because everybody made excuses for her, but her sister and her husband. I feel like those are the only two people that like actually have given her consequences. I think everybody else, even the police, were like, "Oh, it couldn't be her." Why couldn't it be? Why couldn't it be? Love Like You Are said, "Kendra still needs her behind whoop up and down Bill City. What a nasty human being." I hope she's not in Bill City. I hope she is in another town. Because, girl, the way you flip that town upside down, no way you're still there. Denard said, "Hey, Star fam, this was the craziest story I watched in a minute." Yep. But it's so Lifetime movie coded. Denard said, "Me and my husband after every reveal. Oh, we hate her." I don't think you can hate her more than she hates her kid. And that's the sad thing about it, that baby don't know that her mama don't like her. Shoni said when they asked why she told her daughter to delete herself, her response was, I knew she wouldn't do it. I don't understand how someone could say that to her child. And I hate to say this, I don't believe that she knew that she wouldn't do it. I think that lady was probably hoping that she would. Because two things would happen. She would be relieved of her responsibilities. Three things. She would be relieved of her responsibilities as a mother. She would no longer have to care for and support her competition. And the third thing is all the attention would be on her because she would be the grieving mother. And she would milk the hell out of that moment. She is dangerous. And I just feel sorry for that baby because that's a lesson that she's just going to have to learn, because everybody's telling her that her mom isn't a good person and her father is protecting her from that. But that's still her mother. And she's very young and she's going to believe all the things that her mom is telling her. She's going to believe all the manipulation. And unfortunately for that young lady, she's going to have to be burnt by her mom a few more times before she gets it. Love Like You Are said, and the cops were so useless and incompetent per usual. Of course, also them having Lauren in the room with her mother while breaking down the news was so irresponsible. I think some of that footage was cut down because I think Lauren's mom, Kendra, wanted her in the room with her. The cop didn't want her in, but I think she wanted her daughter in the room with her so she can use her for sympathy. But also, it's weird and oddly enough, I think she also wanted to see her daughter's reaction. Unwell. Denard said, I will say everyone was calmer than I would be after finding out the truth. The daughter low-key knew at some point it was her mother. I think so too. Chocolate Tuna said, so glad I grew up before the internet. Even if you did grow up with the internet, like millennials, right? We grew up with it, but we were told it was bad. So like we were very cautious with the internet. We were told not really to embrace it like that. Hello, Y2K. Oh, thank you, Midwife K. Thank you for being here. Someone said this is some white people ish because we don't got time for this mess. Ciao. Evie said, OMG, it's been a while. I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for being here, Evie. Tamara said, I'm so happy you are covering this. Thank you. Chocolate Sooner said, I watched it the day it came out and I've been waiting for my internet friends to talk about this. Tara said, I've been traumatized since I saw it. It's a mess. But guys, it happens a lot. Busola said, hey, Nikki and Star fam. Hey, Busola. Hey, Mel Ron. Hey, Petty Boop. How are you? Tia Bia, what's up? The Dare Show podcast said this was an actual mess. Like, if y'all don't get another phone and call it a day. Well, she didn't want to get another phone because she wanted, because here's the thing. She sent those messages. She was the one who started it. That's why she didn't want, because even the detective was just like, we research everything. There was nobody else. It was just her. She started those first initial text messages. But this is a lie that she's going to keep going because this is a lie that she's going to tell her child, right? But there was not getting a new phone because one, she finally found her purpose, right? She loved watching everybody scramble and be scared and wonder what was happening while she was creating that chaos. So she could also come in and fix it. I actually had a family member like that I had to cut off because been no contact with them for years because they would literally set fires just so they could come and put it out and look like a savior. It was very, very weird. Just their entire behavior, and it didn't come to an end until me and like several other people from my family members started comparing notes. And when we found out who was the person that was starting all of this nonsense, we were all gagged because that was the same person that was always trying to fix it. That was always trying to fix, always had a solution to fix this issue that just randomly came up. It was because they started it or they created it. And I think that's another thing. It was she wanted to come in and be the savior, because if you come in and you're the savior, not only is attention put on you, but it's positive attention. It's positive affirmations. It gave her a purpose, oddly enough. But it's common. A lot of these women do not like them daughters. Oh, thank you. It's my favorite one. It's my favorite one. Chocolate Soda said my jaw was on the floor. Me too, but I was like, makes sense. Makes sense. Hey, Irene, thank you for being here. Midwife K said, wasn't shocked either. Was shocked at the way the person acted when exposed. Immediately went into being a little kid. Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I said, ooh. You're a weird one. Get away from her, Lauren. Drewski said, girl, that lady's going to hell with gasoline draw. Tamara said, I had to call my friends. That one really sent shivers. Yeah, she's very scary. Melron said, I was shocked, but I did think it was an adult trying to sound like a kid. Me too. Josie said, this story pissed me off so much. I know I wouldn't be able to sit through a documentary of it, but I'm here to support. Thank you. Always Prices said, disappointed in the doc, but not shocked at who it was. She seemed off. W said, did y'all already talk about gums? Okay. I thought you were talking about the mom. Listen. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. You will always get back what you put out. Please focus on being a good person and putting out joy, because it always comes back. Everything you put out comes back. My God, today. It always is. It's a boomerang. Your energy is a boomerang. So whatever you put out there, please know it will find its way back to you. And sad to say, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. As more and more people are affected by these policies. We talked about this. I said, people are going to look People are going to go after the people they can touch. They might not be able to touch that president or this administration, but they can touch the people who voted for this, ushered this in, and supported it. Gums, Black people. Gums. You know what, Megan? I hate to say that I can see it. Denise said, I was shocked by how they handled her with kid gloves. Yeah. Yep. Because she wasn't the usual suspect. What the hell is the usual suspect? So you was ready to lock up children? You were ready to lock up children, but when you find out it's this mom, you need all this evidence first. Crazy work. Hey, no, KS, missed you too, beautiful. Hannah said the documentary would have been better if they focused on why the mom did that in the pedo. Yeah, I agree. Hey, Jazzy, thank you for being here. Megan said there was actually a movie similar to this on Lifetime. Lisa Rinna was the mother to the daughter, and she also turned out to be the stalker. I don't know if they made the movie based on this case. Probably not. Because there were, like, every Lifetime movie, the villain was always the mom, and she was always a housewife. She was always a young housewife who gave up her life to be this super mom. And you didn't know until the end that it was her who either killed the boyfriend or, ran the cheerleader over. It was always the soccer mom. Yeah, when they're real life, I'm like, ugh, give me a second. Lily B said, but when did the filming happen? I didn't watch the documentary, but I saw the spoilers. Well, the mom just got out of prison. So this is pretty recent. Because the mom got out in 2024, April, I think. So she just got out of prison. So this had to be right after. Always Prices said they need to be evaluating Lauren for mental illness. She seems far too okay in the end of this. The little boy and Chloe look destroyed. Well, here's the thing. She seemed to be okay with this because she's getting the attention. That's what it is. Everything okay?
Not at all. I fell.
No, you did.
No, I didn't.
But she's low-key, high-key loving this because the attention is put back on her. Even if it's bad, she's so happy. Everybody's talking about her. She's probably texting her friends like, oh my God, my documentary is going viral. But this is the season that we're living in. We are living in a season where awful people are like giving attention, giving platforms. Like it's a bad timeline to be in. She's probably eating this up, and she probably has people, mothers, who feel just the way she feels, who are writing her, inboxing her, telling her thank you for sharing her story. Like a lot of people wouldn't understand, but they understand. She has fans, guys, and this is exactly what she wanted. She's loving this. She's loving this. Denard said Lauren at some point 100% knew her mother was doing this because one of the girls would say, we would say specific things, but they would come up around Lauren. I think Lauren knew at some point. I think she probably didn't want to believe it. That's why she wasn't shocked. But I think she knew. I think something, that's your mom, right? You're going to know her cadence at some point. So her mom probably wrote something where it was just like, like something slipped up. Something slipped up. Yeah, it was very obvious. It was like you're talking to children. It's weird. If she was trying to speak Gen Z, she should have just been, watching how Black people speak and just writing like that, because that is basically Gen Z speak. It's just Black American vernacular. Evie said, as soon as I saw how mom looked, I said, wow. Way to let yourself go, mama. Hannah said the mom should have been forced to register as a pedo. The messages were, but yeah, absolutely. And I know the messages that she sent to Owen was even worse. I know it was. Spency said OMG, I could not watch that previous doc. Sounds traumatic. This doc was so sad. This lady is a pedo. Those children were traumatized. And that lady was acting like it was a regular crime. Yep. Yeah, I didn't know why she didn't do that. But you know what? Even if she did, she would have got it. She would have got that number. She would have got that. Town is so small. She would have got it. But I would have done that though. The Dare Show podcast said I was very uncomfortable hearing about their 13-year-old love. Like, can we move on? But a lot of parents normalize that. A lot of parents normalize that. Hey, Art World, thank you for being here. Yeah, she also, because she was on the sidelines, because she wanted to keep it going. She didn't want to make her job harder than it already was. She was having a good time, y'all. She was having a good time, ruining everybody's life. Hey, Eva, thank you for being here. Always Prices said, I knew it was Kendra because she didn't shed a single tear. Meanwhile, Jill was distraught. She didn't shed a single tear when she was talking about her child. But when she was talking about herself, waterworks. Waterworks. Cece said, child, I just talked about this with my mom. This story is disgusting. Absolutely. Megan said, given the fact that an adult sent those vulgar messages, Chris Hansen needed an invite. but it's a woman, guys. It's a woman. Like, it's never taken seriously when a woman is being a predator towards a child. It's never, it should be, especially if it's a male. Never is taken seriously. When she was talking about the things that she was going to do sexually to Owen, I can't believe Jill ain't put hands on that lady. I cannot believe it. The villain edit said, glad you're finally talking about it. Watching this, I'll never go out of business as a therapist. Ciao. Cece said, my mom thinks all the time the police confronted Kendra Lauren. Yeah. Cause I don't, she was just so like, she did not react until her father reacted. Hannah said, Chloe and her clique are bullies. They I was like, now I hate that Chloe was traumatized, but Miss Chloe, you were the town bully. You were the town. Listen, the build and the walk. And then she had the bully parents. So it was just like, and I think she came from a bully bloodline. Them parents were bullies. No way. No way them parents didn't terrorize the kids' parents. Like, no way. No way. Always tries to say, poor Chloe, not her fault. Not her fault. Everybody said, oh, yeah, it's Chloe. Poor baby. Like, Chloe, we see it, mama. You was a bully. You was a bully, Chloe. But them parents didn't play. I'ma give it to them parents. They said, not my daughter. Find somebody else. And they still mad. Oh my gosh. Shoni said, I'm glad you said it, Nikki. I felt bad for Chloe, but she apparently had a history. Like, come on. The way Adriana was talking about her, I said, yeah, Chloe. And they weren't, as they should be. That's how a parent comes through. They said no. And they said, if you're going to put it on my child, let's get everybody else in here. Let's do that. Megan said, the only thing I disagree with them about is when they said Sean and Lauren were behind the drama. Yeah, but they're bullies. They're not going to have the best logic. Zora said, Chloe's parents know she bullied, though. They did not care at all that their daughter was terrorizing Owen's cousin because Owen's cousin doesn't fit. Speak on it. Well, I will say this. He said from day one that it was Kendra. And for him to be a cop and nobody believed him, something up with his history. For him to not have had like any pull, something up with his history. Sophie Simone said Chloe's mama was definitely showing. I think Chloe comes from a bully bloodline. She was not. First of all, she was in that interrogation room with her baseball cap and her keys. And she said, no, so we got to get somebody else. That no, she would have never done that. I can tell you who did it. Like, I'm sorry. The parents are bullies. Chloe's the bully. I would have been Chloe's mama in that interrogation room. She said, no, you're not locking up my baby. We're going to find somebody else. Listen. Oh, all the parents are problematic. Here's the thing, guys. We got to talk about it all the time. All the parents are problematic because all of these people became parents early 20s. That's the problem. That is the problem. You have these people who stunt their lives because they think that they are supposed to be married and have kids by 25. And then they get married, they have these children, they get these homes, and they settle into a life that by the time they turn 30, they're just like, I don't want this. This is not what I wanted. But they're stuck. They're stuck. They're angry. They're resentful. They're nasty. They become Karens and Kens. They harass anybody younger than them. Poor retail workers. Every time them parents come in, every time they see one of them people, they know they're going to put them through hell. They harass the young people at the fast food places. They didn't do anything, but they're angry. They're angry at their lives. And none of them are happy about the decisions they made. And I literally saw it. I remember back when I was in church, child, everybody, at 25, everybody was engaged. Everybody was getting married. It was all of these Facebook posts where everybody was updating their posts to, in a relationship. Then they became engaged and they became married, and it was beautiful. And everybody welcomed their first kids, and it was wonderful. As soon as everybody turned 30, everybody either got divorced or came out. It was crazy. It was crazy. From 30 to 33, Facebook was heavy with the Facebook posts. It's getting all kinds of alerts. It's crazy. But that's what it is. These people are miserable. They're miserable kids. A lot of them are not educated. A lot of them are working class. It's the working class bubble for so many people. It's so sad. That's what I'm saying. Live your life. Get your education. Travel. I'm not saying don't get, married or have children in your 20s or anything like that. I'm just saying if you can wait. Because who you are, before that brain is fully developed, you are not going to be at 31. Chill. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You think all of them wanted to drive buses? You think they all want to die in corporate America? But they have to. They got to make money to take care of this family they created at 24. I felt bad for that baby too. They had to. If you notice, her confessional was cut up because she kept on crying. She's still affected by this, and this documentary was pretty recent. Zora said Owen's mom is a boy mom, aka retired pick. I would not be surprised if she was the cheerleader, the popular girl in town, with a restless spirit because she never got picked in the way she wanted. So she poured all that angst and unrequited love into Owen. Oh yeah, she definitely gives boy mom. Because it's a whole town of bitter working class millennials and Gen Xers. None of them wanted it. Let's be real here. What Kendra did was absolutely awful. She's not the only one who feels like that in that town. She's not the only one. She the only one that did all of that and went too far. Absolutely. But she's not by herself. Chloe could tell you a few things her mother said to her when she was upset. Denard said that's the sign of a white liberal woman in the making. She gonna be mad left leaning, throwing bricks at cop cars. I said, ooh, it happens. Multiple. And parents. Multiple. Tamara said, and she was focused on because she was allegedly getting bullied by Chloe. Yep. I said, well. Always person said, all of my friends are married, and I remember my bestie told me how difficult the transition is to become a wife and a stepmom. Then they had their own kids. It's tough. It really, really is. And I think, especially for women, we're not taught and told what it actually is. It's something that you just got to find out when you're in it. Absolutely not. And then you also, as a working class woman, you're stuck. Like you're not going to be able to get out of that. It's just far too much money being spread. Like that, you're not going to be able to live a life outside of those two roles that you willingly walked into. You know what I mean? Like nobody held a gun to your head, but it's just like you signed up for that, but you just, unfortunately, you didn't know the contract that you were signing. And I'm not saying that you still would not have done it. I do think a lot of women would have done it later or with a different partner. Zora said, the way the cops coddled Kendra, if that was a Black woman, she would have been dragged from the home and then they would have removed Lauren from. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You see it all the time. You see it all the time. Cece said, why would she be doing anything sexual with her boyfriend? She was literally a child because the mother wanted to do that. The mother wanted to do that with him. That's why. That's why. She was encouraging that to happen because she wanted to hear about it from her child so she could fantasize. Like that. I'm telling you, Owen was receptive to her advances. Always practice that Kendra's a PDF file and she needs to be in prison for that alone. Yep. Hey, Givey Shelter, thank you for being here. And Melina said, and 13 is also just way too young to start dating. I agree. Cece said, being a 13-year-old girl is already hard enough. Imagine all of this on top of that. Imagine being 13 and somebody constantly, some stranger, constantly texting you to end your life. And then to find out it's your mama. Lord. Carter said, at first I thought the daughter knew about it by the way she reacted when she found out, but I don't think so anymore. I think she just, I honestly think she was shocked. And I think it was also, she started piecing things together in her head. And then it started making sense. Like the dad. Because at first, when the dad was talking to Kendra, when Sean was talking to Kendra, he kept on asking her about her work. And I'm like, Sean, I don't know why you're so concerned about her being unemployed and lying to you when it's just revealed that she is the town stalker. Why aren't you focusing on that? But I think he was just processing everything in the moment. And when his voice started to shake and he said, you got to go, you got to call your mom, but you got to get out of here. Like to take all of that in that moment and then also still have to be a dad because you got a kid to take care of. And that kid is the one that your wife was telling to kill themselves. Like, oh, just to watch him process all of that in real time. Crazy. I'm going to get a couple more and then I have to get out of here. Callie C, thank you. Oh, wait, I got to find my clicker. Callie C, thank you for the super chat. Callie C said, I saw the doc last night, still processing. All of them are high school grads at best. It's really sad. This is how they turn out to be, Mac. Oh, absolutely. It's only one person that's not going to be, and that's the one that the cops is going to lock up instantly. Thank you, Tamara. Tamara said, is it Tamara or Tamara? Correct me, please. Said it's interesting how they had Renna play the role. It should have been called These Lips Could Talk. Thank you so much for the super chat, guys. Let me get two more because I am late for an appointment, child. I did not know. Let me get some newer comments. Busola said, did everyone see the new bag? Oh, yes. We are going to talk about that. We are absolutely going to talk about that. Shanae said, I didn't watch the doc, but my coworker told me about it and I was gagged like her mother. Yep. Not even a stepmom, but you pushed her out the... Listen. It happens. Susan Smith. Christina said our sentence and charges were way too light for the range of stuff she was doing. Stalking a minor is the least of it. But again, it was her first offense. So I think that's probably why they're so lenient on her. And of course, other reasons. Petty Boop says she probably hosted. Oh, she absolutely hosted a watch party. The day and time that we're living in, she's probably going to like be hosting at a club somewhere. Like, come and meet Indie Mom. Like, of course. Kiwi Fruit said somebody's drum. Listen, the stairs in this home, dangerous. Hey, Ken. Kendra was a psycho, but I definitely believe that those popular teenage girls. Oh, of course. Of course. Absolutely. Cece said in the beginning when she was like, yeah, we need to get this situated or that the police didn't do enough, only for it to be her. Psycho. Love the attention. Love the attention. Aid Simone said, I'm mad the adults were not crashing out about this adult jealousy of her daughter. I think it's because some of those adults could relate. A lot of these people are not living lives that they wanted. These people are stuck. Listen, I think we all found out how a lot, not all, but a lot of parents, enough that it was a problem. I think we all found out in 2020 how they felt about their kids. Remember when teachers were like, please keep your kids home. They were killing us. And the parents were just like, no, I'm not used to spending this much time with my child. There were literal parents on the internet crying and being like, I don't deal with my child for 8 hours out of the day. I don't know how to do this. I'm used to sending them away to somebody for 8 hours. I can't do this. Please open up the schools, while teachers were dying. I'm telling you, Kendra's not the only one, guys. She's not the only one. Oh, she's not the only one. And Melina said the mixed reactions, we're talking about gums, is reminding me of when you gotta listen. Please live your life in a way that when you pass, people are not celebrating that. I saw it on my timeline. Everybody was rejoicing. Yikes. Yikes. Zora said, I work in education law and work on suits around bullying and harassment regularly. It's sad how kids treat each other. Sadder when you realize they get it from their parents. A lot of racism and colorism. Yep. Oh, yeah. I can't believe those two bullies found each other. Oh my gosh. Always prices that facts, Nikki. That's back when people would air out their mess on Facebook. Yep. I was like, everybody getting divorced. Everybody got divorced and everybody came out as gay. Yeah. One person, I was just like, well, yeah. Always prices that I can't stand when adults treat teen workers poorly. These are children. It doesn't matter to them, right? They need to get it out. And they won't let it out around the people they love, because then it will confirm their defeat. It will confirm that they messed up. It will confirm that they made a wrong decision for themselves. So they will never address that, but they'll take it out on everybody else and make everybody else the problem. Because if they sit down and deal with why they're really angry, they have to either deal with the fact that they have to change their life, or really deal with the fact that they're not going to do anything about it. And they're going to stay in that situation. So they take it out on everybody else. Christina's had the Cut article about this. They included way more detail about how much she was doing with Owen, driving hours to watch his game, trying to become his coach. Trying to live that daughter's life. She was jealous of her. Single white female in your child is crazy. Crazy. Huh? It should be over there. By the pillows. Kimberly said, Owen even said that Kendra should make herself seen by him. If she couldn't have him intimately, she wanted part of her daughter to have him only if she could hear about it. Yes, you are on it, Kimberly. You are on it. Ephraim 50 said, thank you all for remembering to like the video. Yes, let's show the algorithm whose boss is support Nikki. Thank you all so much. Cynthia said, just wait. Kendra will be that's the way our society is. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Yes. Yep. Like, hello, daughters of mothers whose grandmother is jealous of their mother. We've seen it. We've seen it. We've seen them say some things and you're like, what? It happens a lot. It happens a lot. Zora said, I knew early on that I didn't want kids. I could never be that generous with my time. And I want my kids to act in a way that wouldn't drain me energy-wise. More people need to be real with themselves. Yeah, just be real. But the thing about it is you're not going to be real with yourself because you're making such a rash decision so young. That's the thing. It's like, okay, come on, because you're doing too much over here, Mom. Oh my gosh, you're falling down the steps. You're knocking everything over.
I didn't really fall down the steps. Okay.
Yes, I'll text you. Thank you. Have a good day. Oh, Lord. Callie Steve said these kids need to move out of their town as soon as they are adults. I would move now. Find a family member outside of the town and move now. It is that town is crazy. Crazy. Just everything. She's knocking everything over. All right. Let me get two more. Hold up. Oh, we got that about the popular teenagers. I was just like, the kids, they was in there doing all that crying, and I was just like, I feel bad for y'all, but y'all bullied. Y'all were bullies. I feel bad for y'all, but y'all were absolutely bullying. I wouldn't be surprised either. I'm telling you, it's generational. All of this is generational. I think that Kendra was Adriana when they were like, this is them when they were teenagers. I think that Kendra was Adriana, right? Jill was Lauren. And Chloe's mama was Chloe. Chloe's mama been a bully. She been a bully. And I think what was happening with Kendra was that she was seeing her daughter become somebody who she envied as a child. And it was Jill. That's why. But also, I also think that she loved the fact that her evil was bringing her closer to Jill, somebody she always wanted to be close to. Very weird, very odd, but I think that's what's happening. I think, she was always envious of Jill. She couldn't be a part of the cool girl clique with Jill, but then something like this could bring them together. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if Kendra was the one who was encouraging her daughter to go after Owen so she can get close to that mama. Crazy work. When his voice started shaking, I was like, oh, yikes. He said, tell me the truth. I was like, oh, this is just a mess. Just a mess. But it happens so often. It happens so often. And I'm shocked that it was actually a guy who would say that, because it's normally the woman. It is normally the woman. I know somebody who experienced that. Didn't know that they lost their house until people came to take it. And it was because the husband was not paying the bills. And they were giving them money to pay the bills. Always know about the finances in your home. Always know about the finances in your home. This is going to be some kind of show. This is going to be some kind of show. And the way TV is going, we're going to see it real soon. I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix does something like this. Like now that they got the rights to the documentary, I wouldn't be surprised if they're putting a show like that together. Here's the thing. I lost all the stuff in storages because she wasn't paying the storages. However, Sean cannot act like he doesn't know that there was something going on financially, because I think that they had their stuff in storages because they probably were evicted from the last place. Like something was happening there with the money. Something was happening there with the, like, now I'm going to give Sean that. His wife is a liar and a scammer and a cheater. But I don't think that, oh shoot, I don't think that he wasn't fully aware that something, I don't think he knew the extent, but I think he knew something. Now I'm gonna give Kendra that. Now he had to know something. We're not just gonna play around. Now come on, Sean. Well, remember, she was getting money from insurance scamming. This lady was crazy. She was insurance scamming. Remember when her sister was just like, she said that lightning hit the house? How does she make lightning hit the house? Like, how does she like recreate that? We need a documentary on that. We need a documentary on her scams. Drusy said this was actually already a show nearly 10 years ago. Awkward on MTV. You are right. Zora said something was happening where Sean seemed not fully present until Kendra was revealed. I think he was just living through it all. Even his confessional, he kept on crying. Sean's eyes, the entire documentary was red because he was crying the entire time. Kimberly said, I don't want to see this woman ever again. Plus, they have financial issues with at least 2 Yeah, like that wasn't their first eviction. That's why the stuff was in storage. Come on, Sean, now. We can blame her for that, but Denard said also, when you said that she has a bully build, all I could think of was she, okay. Well, she was birthed by 2 bullies. So it's like she was created by 2 bullies, birthed in the, roasted in the belly of a bully. So she gonna look like a bully. You got to go into it with some coin. You got to go in it with some coin. Like, got to have a safety net. We're going to end with Irene. Irene said, when I found out it was the mom while watching, I skipped her explanation. That was disgusting because it really wasn't an explanation. It wasn't. You're lying. You're jealous of your kid. Just tell that. But it's better to say, oh, all these things happened to me, so this is why I did that. I'm traumatized. And that is probably very true. But the real thing is you're jealous because you're seeing your daughter live a life that you feel like you should live. And instead of dealing with the decisions you made, you blame your child for those decisions. The child did not ask to be here. This is on you. But a lot of people do not want to take accountability. We like to push blame and put it on everybody else, make it everybody else's fault. Now you're 42 years old beefing with a 13-year-old that you created. Somehow she became your problem when she didn't even ask to be here. Sad, 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 sad. Anyway, Star family, I'm late for a meeting. Welcome to my world. I got to get out of here, but I will see you all tomorrow. We're going to talk about Love Island Game season 2. We're going to talk about that cast reveal. And then there's some other things that just dropped that we have to talk about. I'm trying to figure out when is going to be a good time to talk about this Bachelor news that just dropped. And there's something, you guys sent me one more thing that we have to talk about. Give me some time. I'm trying to figure it out. I know my earlier lives are good for my UK people, but I know America, y'all like the lives to be after work. So we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. I feel like 12 is a sweet spot for the UK. And I think 4 and 6 is a sweet spot for USA. But we're going to figure it out. Let me know your thoughts. I may do a poll about times again, and you guys let me know about that. But we definitely have a lot to talk about. Anyway, I love y'all, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Ooh.